Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. As you guys know, I'm a registered nurse. So this video is geared towards my nurses, nursing students, anyone thinking about becoming a nurse. This video is for you guys. Don't forget to, please, don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and share the video. Okay, so as y'all can tell by the topic, this video is going to be on nursing being very toxic and nurse bullying. Okay, so currently where I work at, I haven't experienced nurse bullying at all. Like I work on a unit where the nurses are very helpful. They're very nice. They see you struggling. They will help you, but I haven't always. So prior to me working at this hospital, I worked at another hospital in Brooklyn. I worked nights because at the time I had to work nights on a med surg unit. Okay, so this was like my first hospital experience. Okay, so I'm working nights. I wasn't even like properly precepted, but whatever. Let's get beyond that. I wasn't properly precepted, but um I got to work on this particular night. I had a patient who was very, very sick, and I could see that this patient was not meant for the med surg floor. Like it was obvious that this patient was not meant for the med surg floor, right? So I kept, wandering. So first, technically, when um, I got report that she was supposed to be transferred to the ICU early on in the day. I don't quite remember the confusion on what happened as to why she didn't get transferred, but the patient wasn't transferred. So now, coming on my shift at 7:30, I get a report that this patient's supposed to be transferred. So that's immediately, if I hear something like that, that's immediately the patient that I'm going to go to first. I'm going to go do my assessment on her first and try and see what's going on. And I'm going to try and contact these doctors and see why is this patient still on this floor, because I'm a new nurse. Well, at the time I was new to the hospital and I'm like nervous about it because I'm like, I don't want this patient to crash up here where when she's supposed to be in the ICU, because then, I'm going to be scared. I don't want this patient to lose her life or, something crazy to happen. And like, let's just get her where she belongs, right? So I'm calling all night. I think she had asthma exacerbation. I think that's what it was, asthma exacerbation. But she was really, she was a heavy set woman, an older woman. It was just really bad, right? So, all right, I'm trying, to, do everything that I can to keep her as stable as I can on the unit until she's transferred to the ICU, right? So, um, I don't know. So I had this preceptor there who, she felt that because I was a nurse already prior to coming to this hospital. Remember, at this time, I had only been in the nursing home setting and I had only done home care. So at this time, I had no hospital experience, but she felt that because I was a nurse, I should be okay. I kept explaining to her that no, that's, in the nursing home, we don't do some of the things that you guys do, so I don't know to do it. Home care, we definitely don't do some of the things. Like some things are the same, like wound care and stuff like that. Some things are the same, but then obviously, like if you're in a different setting, things are just run differently and done differently. And she just didn't quite grasp that or whatever. She was nice. She was a nice lady, but that point she just wasn't getting, and I wasn't understanding why she wasn't getting it. But whatever. And so now it's like midnight, right? So the patient is kept alive until midnight. So she's kept alive, she's okay, she's doing okay. So now we're supposed to transfer her to ICU. Okay, so I called the ICU. I gave them report because I'm sure that the day nurse had gave them report, or at least I thought that that would have happened, but I didn't see any note stating that, okay, report was given to ICU nurse, blah, blah, blah. I didn't see any of that. So I just called to like back myself up and give report on the patient, tell them what I knew, right? So I called, I gave the report. Now, when you're given like a hands-off report, or like when you're given a report when the patient is transferring to another unit, these, from what I knew at this time, this is what you're supposed to say. You're supposed to give the name, the age, vital signs, anything new going on with the, well, when the patient is transferring to another unit, why is this patient transferring to the unit? Like, what's going on? What's making this patient have to transfer here? Any important labs, things of that nature, right? So that's what I gave the nurse, right? I gave her all that I knew to give her, right? All right. Remember, I'm still new to this facility. No one told me what to tell her. I was just telling her what I thought I should tell her, which was the most important things, O2 levels and things like that. Because remember, this is an asthma exacerbation patient, right? So that's the information that I gave her. Okay, we get down. So it's me, the respiratory therapist, and the doctor. We transfer the patient. So we go down. I didn't hook up the patient to a cardiac monitor. The patient was supposed to be hooked up to the monitor. Apparently, I didn't know that, and apparently the doctor and the respiratory therapist didn't know it either, because no one told me, Selena, put the monitor on the patient before transferring her. No one told me that. So I'm like, okay, so I get down there, and the ICU nurse, very nasty, off the rip. Off the rip was very nasty. She goes, I'm calling the ADN, and I'm telling the ADN about the report you gave me, and I'm telling the ADN that you sent this patient down here from med-surg to the ICU without a cardiac monitor. So me, I can go from 0 to 100 real quick, but when it comes to nursing and when it comes to the care of my patients, I tend to like try and calm down before I say anything. So I looked at her. I helped her transfer the patient from our bed to their bed, put the patient's belongings on the side. And I said to her, I said, if you feel the need to call the ADN, then do that. I'll deal with the ADN when she contacts me, or when she contacts the supervisor, right? And I left it at that. I wanted to go in and I wanted to curse her the hell out, but I said, you know what? I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that today, because I'm just not going to take it there today, because they will carry my ass out of this hospital. Like, because I will curse her the hell out. They will make it so that I can't work for any city hospital again. So I'm like, you know what? Let me just take this one and deal with the ADN when she calls me, right? All right, cool. I get back upstairs. Like, the whole time I'm in the elevator, I'm like freaking fuming. Like, one thing about me is like, I will cry, but I won't cry in front of people, because I won't let people see that they made me mad. So I went in the bathroom and I cried, and I'm like, yo, like, what if something would have happened to this patient? Like, it would have been my fault because I didn't put the cardiac monitor on. However, I was not told to put the cardiac monitor on. So it just so happened that that same night, the preceptor was working. So I went to her and I said, okay, so she was in charge that night. So I'm like, you were in charge. You were the one that kept telling me that the patient needed to go to the ICU. You know that I'm new. Why would you not tell me that this patient needs to be on cardiac monitoring? Like, I'm not gonna know that. Like, that's not something, I've done, so I'm not going to know that she needs to go on the monitor. She's like, oh, I thought you knew. Oh, I thought you knew. And I'm like, see, don't assume that I know anything. And you're in charge. So you're supposed to like be overseeing like what's going on. We all have 7 patients while you have none. So, and everybody else on the unit was like, that's their hospital, that's their home unit. They know how things run. They know what they're supposed to do. So I'm just like, nah, that's not right. It's not fair. And she's just like, oh, calm down. If anything, I'll talk to the ICU nurse. And I'm just like, in my head, I'm like, that's just not good enough for me, because she already threatened to call the ADN. So like, you talking to her, I don't know what that's gonna do. The night goes by. It was a Friday night. I remember it being a Friday night, and I was supposed to work that next Saturday. And I said, I'm not going to work, because I just felt so, I don't know, I just felt so bad. I did not want to go to work. All right, so I didn't go to work. I get back to work, I think like the Tuesday or Wednesday or something like that. And the ADN for the floor was there. And she was like, oh, Miss Shuford, when you get a second, I want to talk to you. So I'm like, all right. I know she wanted to talk to me about, what happened in the ICU. So she's like, we're talking. We're not talking in a closed space, which I felt was a little unprofessional, but I'm like, all right, whatever. So we're talking, and she's like, when patients are going to the ICU, they're supposed to have on cardiac monitoring, so forth and so on. So I'm like, all right. Now I know, going forward, I know, but I did not know before. So I'll, anytime I have a patient going to the ICU, this is something that will be like stuck in my head. I will know, put the patient on the damn monitor, whatever, right? So she was nice about it. She was whatever. She was pretty cool about it. And then I thought that was the end of it. Apparently, this preceptor had told some other nurses. So as I was working that night, I heard the nurses talking about it. Why she did that? Why she did that? She wasn't there that night. The preceptor wasn't there that night, but the 2 nurses that were there, they were talking about it. So I went to them. I like overheard it. Like I was passing meds and I overheard it, and I made a point in my mind that when I was done, I would, go and speak to them. I would wait and I would go and speak to them. So I'm like, all right, I'm done my med pass. They're done their med pass, because it's like 10:30, 11 o'clock. It's not much that's given that night, but you do your med pass. So I go to them. They're like sitting in like a corner. They have their chairs together, their cows together, and they're like, I guess, like charting and talking, whatever. They're no longer talking about me, but that's besides the point. They were talking about me before, so I was gonna address them. So I said, it's so, this is my exact words to them. It's so fucked up how you guys are. Like, you guys can watch somebody struggle. You guys will watch somebody do the wrong thing just to turn around and talk about them versus helping them. I don't see what you get out of talking about me over a mistake that I made that could have ultimately cost the patient their life. You get what I mean? Like, I don't understand that. What do you guys get out of that? If I messed up, I messed up. Correct me. Respectfully, correct me. Don't talk about me. Don't, so then I guess they were so stunned. It was some older nurses. I guess that they were stunned that I even said anything to them about it, but I'm not the one nor the two. No. You're not going to talk about me and I hear it and I don't address it and I don't say anything, because it will bother me. It will fester, and then I will just explode. So I'm like, you know what? Let's get this done with now. So I told him what I needed to say, and then I backed off. From then, I didn't hear anything. I didn't hear I didn't hear anyone talking. The friends that I had on the unit, they didn't come to me and tell me that anybody was talking. So I just left it at that. But that's nursing for you. Nursing can be very toxic. Anywhere where there's a lot of women, you're gonna see the cattiness, the talking about each other, the watching what each other wear. You know, you watching how tight her scrubs are. You watching, things that you shouldn't be paying any attention to, or you see your nurse that's on your unit mess up and you don't do anything. You don't help anything. You don't help her or anything. I cannot stand that. Like, I'm not like, because I guess I can't stand it because I'm not like that. Like, I'm not gonna let nobody drown. Like, if I see, and now that I'm more experienced and I know how to do things, like, I'm not gonna let nobody drown. Nobody on the unit that I'm working on, or even if I get floated and I'm on another unit, like, and I see a nurse struggling, I'm gonna help her because I know how it feels to, feel like you're behind and it's like nothing you can do that can help you to catch up. Like, I know how overwhelming it can be to a new nurse, a nurse coming off orientation. Now he or she has 6 or 7 patients, and it's just like orders is being changed left and right. So much is going on with all your patients, and you're trying to figure out what to do first, who to go to first versus who to let wait. Like, it can be very difficult. And when you have nurses like that, like those ladies that I was discussing earlier, that makes it more difficult. So, like, yeah, that's just how nursing can be sometimes. Gratefully, I'm on a unit. So I left that job shortly after because I just wasn't feeling it. I didn't want to work nights. They would not switch me to days because I was doing that. And then I was told that I could switch to days. And then when it came time for me to switch to days, it was another story. My kids was going back to school and I'm just like, I'm not going to be working nights. Like, I need to be working days because I need to be at home with these kids at night, period. They didn't want to switch me. So I was just like, all right, I'll get another job somewhere else. Like, that's the one thing about nursing that I love, is that you will always find another job. You will never be without work for too long. Like, even if it's not in the most desirable unit or the most desirable job, you will not be without work. So I got to where I am now, and I love the facility. I love the unit. I have a very good nurse manager, and that makes a difference. That makes a difference when you have somebody who will stick up for you, who will, correct you when you're wrong, but in a respectful way. Somebody who's going to go to war for her unit and for her nurses, like, period. And then the nurses on the unit, they're very, like I said before, they're very helpful. They're very nice. I've never felt like I couldn't go to any of them and ask for help. But, and I feel like that's the way it should be. It should be more of like, yes, we're at work and it is a work setting, but it should be more like a sisterhood, more like especially for the newer nurses coming in, because, like, of course you have people who quit once they get off orientation and they feel like it's not for them. But then there's some nurses who you can save. Like, okay, don't quit just yet. Let's come up with a game plan. Let's do something. Because you need this job. Let's be real. You need this job, and we need you because we're always short. So, like, that's the type of environment that I like to work in. Or you could save all that other bullshit. Like, I'm just not for it. So yeah, that was just my personal my personal story about bullying or whatever. And it was what it was. I haven't had many experiences like that, but I know in other places I've heard some stories. It gets crazy on those units, and I'm just happy that was my experience, and that's it. Like, it didn't go any further than that. So, all right, guys, I'll catch you in the next one.